afternoon. My name is Lorrie. Welcome to my channel. We are quilters. Happy summer. I know that it started yesterday at 4:35, but it has sure felt like it was in the middle of summer this past week. The humidity, which is unusual for Michigan, has made my hair a creature of its own. At any rate, happy summer. This week, for Blabfest, I only have 5 topics. Quick, some of them very quick. I have been working on handwork, sewing down those 3D flowers. I have 3 of these border pieces ready to go and ready to put on the quilt center. And coming up here in just a few seconds, I will show you the leaf and flower petal tutorial that, because I need to make a few more for the last border. I need to make 3 leaves for the bud portion of the border. Here it is. Da, da, da. Let me grab the thing. I have all the things here that we need to use. The little clover, it's called the 3-inch Kanzashi flower maker. That's what this is called. This is easier to use than the yo-yo. I apologize for the chainsaw in the background. There is nothing I can do about that unless I'm planning on tying up my husband and putting him in the back room while I film my videos. So please tolerate and be patient with the sound. So the way this works, you open it up, and I think it's easiest to use I'm going to make a leaf from my last flower thing. And you fold it in half. Fold goes there. I use a 3.5. It does not specify a size. And then I use a pair of scissors to trim it down. 3.5 is about perfect. So there you go. 3.5 is perfect. Let me move this out of the way. And I need a nice long thread. And this one is labeled even better than the other one. So you start here and you go across the back and go down hole number 2. Then you flip it, go in spot number 3. See, I told you this is even, but you need a long thread. Hole number 4. Flip it, and once you do this a couple times, you don't even really need to flip it if you know where the hole is. Oh, sometimes. So this takes my favorite kind of thread, the lazy man thread. And you can even make these when you're making a flower. You can even make these, like chain them together, but it takes a very long thread to do that. That goes down in that groove. 11, 12. Make sure it goes down in that happy groove. Okay, I am done. I'm going to pop it off. Take a look at what I've got. Oh, look, threads going all over the place. And then I just carefully pull, 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 pull. And there I have a petal. And the edges, there's the folded edge. And there's my raw edges. So now, because I'm using these as separate leaves, I am going to just flip it to the back and tie, do my little loop, swoop, and pull through itself. And my thread is still long enough that I could make several more of these with that same piece of thread. And I like to hide that underneath the edge of another applique. In this case, a yo-yo, so that it looks like a flower bud. I'm going to cut that off, and there it is. Woo! There it is. Aww. On Monday, we are getting closer and closer to finishing the applique series. This week on Monday, I am doing ruching. I've heard it called rucking. I've heard it called ruching. I'm not sure which is the correct way to pronounce it. It is in a couple of the books that I have, and I'm going to be adding ruched flowers to the center with the big roses because there are some spaces there that need more. I have been making fire starters with scraps. Let me show you a little quick video of how to get scraps ready for fire starters. This fabric for fire starters is right here. Look at those little crummies. I'm going to show you what fun I have making those little crumbs from cut off scraps. I don't need a dog bed at the moment. Nugget is a grand dog. So I just get my little jar of scraps. I grab a handful, and every once in a while I cut some and add them to the bag. Here it is. This is all you do, back and forth. You hear that Dan's out there cutting with a chainsaw? Yeah. Hang on, let me speed up this process. This is a fire starter. It is made from egg cartons, the cardboard kind, scrap fabric, lint from the dryer if I have it. My son is going to add twigs and sticks and pine needles to his, but I'm not that dedicated. I already have enough scraps of fabric to take care of that. And then melted wax. And I have discovered that you can melt wax by putting candles that are in jars in a crock pot, adding a little bit of water like you would a double boiler, and letting it sit for a while. And then you just pour the wax very carefully over top of the egg cartons. I always put a piece of foil underneath to protect my counter. And then, after they harden up, you break them apart and you end up with this fire starter. I put that in the middle of the pile when I'm starting a fire, and if something isn't starting right, this usually does the trick. I didn't think I needed these till my neighbor set me straight. And this makes building a fire so much easier when it's 60 degrees in the cabin. Not that we've had to worry about that for a while. I hear him starting up the chainsaw out there. But it's time to trim up scraps. My little scrap bin is full, and I have decided that while I am here in Michigan, since my space is so limited, whenever this little bin gets full of pieces, I am going to stop and trim up scraps. So one of the things I'm going to do this next week is sit down and trim up the scraps in this little bin so that it is no longer full. This week I also trimmed these football shapes with pinking shears so I can continue my project on raw edge applique. I did not do the little corners in the background. You can see right there, you can see where four of those blocks come together. I did not do the little corners yet. My hand was tired enough, and the hard part was trimming over where the seams met in those sewed together strip pieces. That was the hard part. So I know that I think I have a blade for my rotary cutter, but it's in West Virginia. I think I have a blade that's a pinking blade, and I'll be using that. Nugget's keeping me safe now too. Yay! So I get to compete with a chainsaw and a dog. Ah! I'm glad it's cooler today, or my head would just explode. Nugget, please stop protecting me for just a moment. At any rate, back to what I was saying. I would like to do a sew along once I finish, maybe once I finish this set of blocks for the weather quilt. So on Wednesdays. But I would like some input from you, my wonderful viewers. What kind of quilt would you like to make? Of course, it will be a scrap quilt because I don't have a lot of yardage here, but I have a lot of scraps. So a scrap quilt, here are the choices. Please let me know in a comment. Would you like to, A, do a row by row quilt? That means we would make a row, and you could make your row any size you want. So if I made blocks that were 3, 6, 9, or 12, well, 3, 6, or 12, then you could pick your size and make the number of blocks you needed for that row. And I think ones that are a variety of sizes and row by rows look good. Or, here's the second choice. Would you like to make a medallion quilt where we put a larger block in the center and then we sew borders for around 1, 2, maybe 3 borders, a couple smaller borders? A medallion quilt is choice B. Or, here we go, choice C. Would you like to do a sampler quilt that would help you build your skills with different kinds of piecing? So it would have easy, straightforward squares. It would have half square rectangles. It might have some curve, a little bit of curve piecing, maybe some maybe one paper piecing block, if you wish. A sampler quilt. Or, and here's my choice D, and I really need to think about this. Would you like to make a quilt based on a novel that is in public domain? That means it's over 100 years old. And I've been reading a Sherlock Holmes novel. My husband and I have been reading that out loud to each other in the evening. The first novel that was written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, A Study in Scarlet. It's interesting. We will finish the last chapter of that tonight. It's only 108 pages. Would you like to make a quilt based on a novel? So there's my 4 choices. A row by row. B, a medallion quilt. C, a sampler quilt. Or D, I'm going to call it a novel quilt. Let me know what you would like me to design for you that we can sew together. Of course, it will be scrappy, so you won't have to choose yardage and yardage and yardage ahead of time. And you can make it any color way you want. Just a thought. Let me know. And last but not least, viewer quilts. Marion sent me a lovely chicken. She recommended that I watch Brenda's Mount Scrapmore video on that. I usually watch her Friday, free Quilt Block Friday videos. I somehow missed this chicken. So Marianne and I were talking back and forth about this chicken block. And she sent me a picture of her chicken block with purple feet. I love the purple feet, but more than the purple feet and the head where it has a flower so it looks like an eye, I love the cat block with the bird pulling on the poor cat's ear. Marion, you are so funny. I'm pretty sure you're my older sister. Just say it. She also sent me a picture of some fantastic strawberries that she has been picking out of her garden. Unfortunately, I have a brown thumb, and neither of my houses has decent soil, and I don't have the patience to grow strawberries because they would be ripe in one place when I'm not there. And when I'm not here in Michigan, the chipmunks would eat them all because and the squirrels, because they are voracious. That's my word for today, voracious. So I hope you are busy either having fun in the sun or getting some quilting done. Let me know what kind of quilt you want to do, and I will make that happen so we can sew together. Have a good weekend. See you on Monday for more appliqué.